Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into something that is honestly profoundly important. We are looking at the psychological blueprint for a truly good life. We're going to break down some fascinating research that completely shifts how we think about our own well being. So, let's jump right in. What does a truly good life look like? Is happiness alone enough to live a fulfilling life? For centuries, philosophers, religious thinkers, and psychologists have all wrestled with this exact question. Society kind of programs us to believe that simply pursuing happiness is the ultimate goal. But today, we're going to challenge that deeply ingrained assumption. Think about it. We've got temporary pleasure on one hand, like getting a promotion, buying the newest phone, or taking a fantastic vacation. And don't get me wrong, those are great. They produce real pleasure. But the feeling inevitably fades, right? On the other hand, we have long-term flourishing. Martin Seligman, who's one of the visionary founders of positive psychology, realized that happiness by itself is often just too fleeting. I mean, someone might feel happy in a given moment but completely lack purpose. Or they might be incredibly successful but desperately lonely. So Seligman sparked this massive paradigm shift. He moved the goalpost from just being happy to flourishing holistically. Because lasting well-being, it requires so much more than just a quick dopamine hit.
So, to map out a truly flourishing life, Seligman developed what's known as the PERMA model, and it stands for positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement.
Let's kick things off with number one, positive emotion. That's the P in PERMA. Now, positive emotion isn't just about walking around with a smile plastered on your face every second of the day. It encompasses genuine, pleasant emotional experiences, things like joy, gratitude, hope, love, and inspiration. But what's really interesting here is the emphasis on building resilience. I want to be super clear about this. Positive psychology does not expect us to be happy all the time. Negative emotions, like fear, sadness, and anger, they are perfectly natural and honestly totally necessary for human survival. The goal isn't to somehow magically eliminate the negative. It's to experience positive emotions frequently enough that they act as a buffer, helping us cope with life's inevitable challenges. Enter researcher Barbara Fredrickson and her broaden and build theory. Her work suggests that these positive emotions actually broaden our thinking. They encourage creativity and exploration, and they physically and mentally build up our internal resources. Think about a hardworking teacher, for example. They might experience immense stress while grading papers late into the night, but when they see a student finally grasp a difficult concept, that spark of profound joy and deep gratitude fuels them. That positive emotion literally broadens their capacity to keep going, sustaining their overall well-being. Moving right along to number two, engagement, the E in PERMA. Engagement is all about deep, absolute involvement. The absolute sweet spot happens when your personal skills perfectly match the challenge right in front of you. If a task is way too hard, our anxiety spikes. If it's too easy, well, we get bored and tune out. But when our skills perfectly align with the challenge, our self-consciousness just drops away and time seems to fly by in the blink of an eye. The legendary psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi famously coined this exact state as flow. He found that when people experience this flow state, whether they're playing an instrument, writing code, or painting, they consistently report having some of the most deeply satisfying moments of their entire lives. Imagine an intensely focused chess player analyzing a board, or an athlete perfectly in sync with their body during a high-stakes game. They completely lose track of time. In that exact moment, they are fully and deeply engaged in human flourishing. All right, that brings us to number three, relationships, the R in PERMA. We are fundamentally and biologically social creatures. Research consistently shows that strong, supportive relationships are arguably the single strongest predictor of human happiness. In fact, some studies show that lacking social connections is literally as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Crazy, right? People with healthy emotional connections live longer, experience significantly less stress, recover quicker from adversity, and report far higher life satisfaction. Let's ground this in reality for a second. Imagine two working professionals. They earn the exact same income, they have the exact same job title, but one has a deeply supportive network of friends, an amazing partner, and close colleagues, while the other is completely isolated. The one with stronger social ties isn't just happier, they are immensely more resilient when workplace stress hits. Relationships are an essential life-saving buffer, which leads perfectly into number four, meaning. The M in PERMA. Meaning addresses our fundamental human need to have a sense of purpose and direction. The crucial takeaway here is that meaning gives us inner strength. I really want to highlight the profound insights of psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl. Frankl observed firsthand, in the darkest of possible circumstances, that humans possess an incredible capacity to endure tremendous suffering, provided they can find meaning and purpose in their experiences. When we know the why behind our existence, we gain the resilience to their almost any how. To bring this powerful academic concept into our everyday lives, just think about being a parent. Parents constantly make significant, physically exhausting sacrifices for their kids, waking up at 3 a.m. to soothe a crying baby or working extra hours to save for a college fund. That isn't inherently pleasurable. It certainly doesn't fit into the box of simple, fleeting happiness. Yet those exact sacrifices provide an unmatched depth of meaning and long-term fulfillment. The love for their child gives those incredibly tiring moments a profound, unshakable purpose. Finally, we hit number 5, achievement. The A in PERMA. Now, achievement isn't just about racking up trophies, making the most money, or somehow winning at life. It's a natural human drive for personal competence and mastery. Accomplishing goals creates genuine self-respect. Consider a psychology student who spends weeks studying for a notoriously difficult exam, or an entrepreneur pouring their soul into launching a new startup. When they finally pass that test or make that first big sale, the true satisfaction isn't just the grade or the cash. It's the hard evidence of their capability. It's the intense effort, the personal growth, and the hard-won mastery that genuinely contributes to a profound sense of well-being. So how do these 5 elements actually work together? Because true flourishing requires a symphony of all of them. Let me ask you directly, have you ever achieved a major goal but still felt incredibly empty inside? The contrast is super revealing. A deficiency in just one area throws the whole system completely out of balance. Look at a highly successful executive. High achievement, but low relationships. The result is usually profound loneliness. Or a hardworking employee. High achievement, but low meaning. That just leads to total emptiness. You could even be a happy student enjoying a lot of positive emotions, but with no long-term goals, you might just drift. True holistic well-being demands a conscious balance across all 5 of these dimensions. Okay, so how do we actually use this roadmap in our everyday lives? Well, we can start taking actionable steps today. Practice gratitude to boost positive emotion. Intentionally carve out time for activities that create that frictionless state of flow. Invest deeply in meaningful conversations to build up your support network. Clarify your core personal values to find your meaning, and set realistic, trackable goals for achievement. Now, to be rigorous here, it's very important we acknowledge some criticisms of the model. Psychologists rightfully point out that cultural differences heavily influence how well-being is defined. Plus, we absolutely cannot ignore that socioeconomic inequalities severely impact a person's baseline access to these elements. But even with those critical nuances in mind, PERMA remains one of the most effective, functional, and deeply practical toolkits we have for understanding what makes human beings truly thrive. According to Martin Seligman, flourishing is not built on happiness alone. A fulfilling life requires positive emotions, deep engagement, meaningful relationships, purpose, and achievement. The PERMA model provides a roadmap for living a richer, healthier, and more meaningful life. Thank you for watching Beautiful Mind. If you enjoyed this explainer and found it valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss our journey into the fascinating world of psychology. In our next explainer, we explore resilience, why some people bounce back stronger after adversity. Until then, ask yourself, which of these 5 pillars will you start building today?